guys, we are going to work on watercoloring today. What watercoloring is you have paint, and the more water you add, the lighter the paint gets. So if you add a little bit of water, it gets really dark, and if you add a whole lot of water, then it gets really light. What you're going to need for this activity is you're going to need your red cup, and inside your red cup is a little dot. That dot is actually watercolor that we are going to use to do our project today. You are going to need a big rectangle piece of paper. This is special kind of paper. This is watercolor paper. When you use watercolor paper, watch out, you almost stepped it over. When you use watercolor paper, it helps absorb the water a little bit and move it around. You are also going to need your paintbrush. Your paintbrush can be any color. I have lots of different colors of paintbrushes in there. From home, you are going to need 2 cups of water. You are going to need, a mat or not. So when you're doing watercolor, you use a lot of water. I have a wooden table and I don't really want water sitting on my wooden table, or watercolor for that matter. So what Ivana and I have is we have mats down, so if we get a little bit wet, then that is okay. Yes, Alana?
So actually,
hold on, don't turn the practice.
Okay.
And you're also going to need a pencil.
Wait, actually, first what I was going to say was we need to get the piece of paper wet once.
Oh, no, hold on, we're not there yet.
Okay.
You're too far ahead.
Sorry.
All right, so what we are going to do is we are going to make how many layers of the ocean?
5.
5 layers of the ocean. So the first thing you are going to do is you are going to take your watercolor paper, and I want you to use your pencil to break it into those 5 parts. Now, watercolor is a really cool paint because the more water you add, the lighter it gets. That also means that if I draw on this paper, I'll be able to see what's underneath it. And I don't want to see too many lines on my paper. So what I'm going to do is you can if you want. If you want to be able to see the lines, then you can do it that way. But I'm only going to do small lines on mine. And I'm going to do them in the corner. I'm going to break my paper into 5 sections. So if I break it into 5 sections, that means that I need to have 4 lines on my paper. All right, so I'm going to go on this side and I'm going to draw 1 line, 2 lines, 3 lines, and 4 lines.
Then we have 5 sections.
We have 5 sections. So here we have section 1, section 2, section 3, section 4, and section 5. All right, so those are going to be our 5 layers of the ocean. The other special thing about watercolor paint is it works best when it's wet. So what you're going to do is you are going to take your watercolor paper and you are going to paint the bottom part with clear water. If you paint all of it, then it's going to dry before I get up to the top. So I'm going to take my paintbrush and I am going to paint the bottom with just clear water. Now when I'm painting it, I don't want puddles, I don't want pools, I want to do an even coat just so it's slightly moist. All right, so I'm going to go across and it should be really quick. Now, if you are using the paintbrushes that I gave you, it might take a little longer to paint the sections.
Since they're a little bit thinner.
They're a lot thinner, yeah. This one's a big, thick one that I have at home, so I can use that one. If you have a thicker paintbrush you want to use, you can use that too. Okay, so now I have the bottom of my thing done. So, I have my paint with watercolor, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some water to it. Now remember, the more water that I add, I want to use this. The more water that I add, the lighter it's going to get. The bottom part of the ocean is really dark, so I don't want to add too much water. I just want to add some. So I'm going to take my cup and I'm going to pour water in. Through the magic of TV, I already have it done. And when I put my water in, I only filled it up to about here. It's not very full. And so take your paintbrush and mix it until you can't see the dot on the bottom. It might take a little while to mix. Mix. All right, so now I have it all mixed up and I'm going to paint the bottom layer of my ocean. So just like I did with my water, I don't want pools, and I just want a thin coat so that way I can see the bottom of my ocean. So I'm gonna take it, I'm gonna go across. And when you're watercoloring like this, you wanna have like big, thick strokes so you don't see all the strokes. Will you go get me some salt?
Oh yeah.
All right. So now I'm done with that.
I want sea salt.
No, the thin one. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to take one water and I'm gonna say this is my dirty water. So I'm gonna take my paintbrush and wash out my paintbrush in my dirty water. All right. I'm gonna move on to my next section. So now my paintbrush should be clean from my dirty water. And I'm going to dip it into my clean water and I'm going to paint only the next section because I want that one to be a little bit wet. All right. So it should be clear. All right. And now I'm going to pour a little bit more water into my cup. Now remember, not too much. All right. I'm going to pour it in. Stop. All right. It looks a little bit lighter. So I'm going to take it. I'm going to mix it. And then paint my next section. All right. So I'm going to go across. Now this one should be a little bit lighter than the next one.
Should I add a little bit more water?
A little bit more water, not a lot. And when I'm doing it, I'm actually going over my bottom layer just a little bit so that way they merge together. I don't want like gaps in between. Yeah, I don't want gaps in between.
Not much. That's nice.
There you go. All right. So
a little bit lighter.
A little bit lighter. There you go. That's good.
I still forgot to get it wet.
It's okay. Yeah, if you forget to get it wet, like Alana forgot to get it wet, that's okay.
Yeah, it'll just absorb it like it does with the water. So you might have to go over again with a second layer.
I might have to go twice. All right. So now I'm going to take my paintbrush. It has my paint on it from before. I'm going to take it. I'm going to dip it into my dirty water. And then, ready? Oh, no. I'm going to take my paintbrush and I'm going to put it in my clean water. And guess what? I'm going to paint the next section with water. All right. And then I'm going to pour a little bit more water into my cup.
But you can also use your dirty water because it doesn't really make
too much.
Because it doesn't really make a difference if you use your dirty water because it'll just blend.
All right, and I'm going to paint across again. And every time I do this, it should be getting lighter and lighter and lighter. All right.
Bit of clean water. Drops. I just added several drops. So it's turning into like, it's going to, by the end of this cup, you're probably going to have like a really dark turquoise. Because mine's starting to look a little bit turquoise on the cup.
All right. So keep going until you get all the way to the top.
It's just getting lighter and lighter.
Getting lighter and lighter and lighter, just like the layers of the ocean.
Isn't there a song that goes with that? Like, I feel like there's a song.
The layers of the ocean get lighter and lighter. Lighter and lighter.
Of course you
lighter and lighter. The layers of the ocean get lighter and lighter. The farther up you go. Ooh, my cup, my final layer, my top layer, my sunlight layer. And my cup is rather full. So I have to be very careful.
I accidentally added way too much.
You did?
Oh well.
Oh well.
Because I can always do this project again.
All right, so I am done with mine, and Alana's finishing up hers. If you want to, when you're all done, you can take some salt, and you can put salt on it. Oh, that's little bubbles. All right, now, my watercolor.
Animal stickers, then you can probably stick them
Hold on, we're not finished. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to let my paper sit, and I'm gonna let it dry. It has to be all the way dry for the next part. All right. So I'll be back for the next part.
Mommy.
So we're back several hours later and my paper is all dry. So here what I've done is I've taken a pen and I colored on top of my watercolors. So you can see the different layers of the ocean going up. And I put some different sea life in there, maybe some rocks to show the abyss. However you want to do it is perfectly fine. When you're done, I would love it if you could take a picture and then put it on our Troop Facebook page so we all can see how lovely these turned out.